One of the most confusing parts about selling on Amazon for beginners is all the different fees, and it makes it really easy to lose track of what you're actually getting charged for. So in this video, I'll break down every fee that you need to know, so you can understand exactly what Amazon takes and what you keep. The first fee that you probably already know about if you've watched any other of my content or just know about Amazon in general is going to be your monthly fee. It's a necessity to just have the account open. We've talked about it a few times on this channel. There's two options, either the individual plan, 99 cents a unit sold, or professional plan, $39.99 a month. If you do anything over 40 units a month, it makes a lot more sense to pay $40 a month, because if you do 50 units on an individual plan, you're going to pay $50 instead of 40. That is the most basic out of all of them, most straightforward fee that you're going to encounter selling on Amazon. When we're getting into more of the detailed stuff, which you may also be familiar with, referral and fulfillment fees, which we're going to talk about after this. Referral fee is basically, in the most easy explanation, the fee that they charge you for providing you the customer, because you're not advertising. You didn't create the demand for this product. You don't own the website. Amazon did and has all of that stuff for you. So because of that, we're going to pay them part of the fee. Now, these two fees are calculated into SellerAmp already, and I'll show you exactly where you can find them in case you have seen them before and you're wondering, I guess, how they're calculated. So depending on the category that you're selling in, there could be a different percentage. Like you can see here, Amazon device accessories, 45% referral fee. Then we get to automotive and it's 12%, 8% here, 15, 12. Most of them are gonna be 8 to 15. Most out of those are gonna be 15. Like you can see here, everything else, eyewear 15. We have clothing and shoes also is a mix. Usually it's 15% depending on what you're selling, but most of the big brands that I've sold have been 15. But we can see here, depending on your sale price, it is going to be a different fee. So don't just account for everything, just go off of what SellerAmp tells you. But in case you're curious about how this is broken down, this is how it's broken down here. Again, I will show you how you can find this out, but good to know. The column on the right-hand side, the 30 cents, is just the minimum referral fee. So if your 5% is less than 30, it's going to be 30. That's all that that's saying. The fulfillment fee is the fee that they're charging you to ship the product to the customer, because you don't pay for shipping afterwards depending on where it goes. You're paying based off of weight here and the size of the item. So small standard size, this weight 2 ounces or less, is a $3 fee here, $3.06, and it goes up depending on the weight here. Then when you get to bigger items, it has a higher tier because they usually weigh more because they're bigger, and it goes up from there all the way to large, bulky, and that kind of stuff. So, well, there is also a part for apparel here, which is different, starts at a different price. But if you ever see that alert in SellerAmp where it says that it's an oversized item, large item, that is what this is telling you, is that the fees are going to be increased because of the size and weight of the item. In order to find those, we just scroll down in SellerAmp and you'll see this profit calculator tab here, which you may have seen this total fees right here if you've ever gone through and looked at a product in a lot of detail like this. And we can click on this and break it down. So we'll see here that we've got a referral fee, which is 15% here, $9. The FBA fee for the shipping, $8.28 here. Those are built in already to the calculation of your profit sale price. It is telling you your profit is going to be 42 because of these $17.88 in fees. If you added these two numbers up together here, you would get 60. And that is why it's not always a clean 25% of 60, in case you've ever wondered that. It's because of these fees. And we can see here, there are some other fees that we're going to talk about as well. Now, when it gets to merchant fulfilled products, because you are shipping them yourself, it is a little bit different. And if we click on this FBA switch here, we'll see that it did change. So if you watch this total fees here and then the fulfillment fee, they both change. And the reason why is because FBM, they're not shipping the product for you, you are. So that's also why this box comes into play here, the FBM cost. This is where you would put in your estimated shipping cost, so that way you can predict how much profit you're gonna make. So as you go through and do some FBM orders, you'll get an idea of the weights of products, the size of products, and how much it takes to ship those to your customers. Now, it can fluctuate a little bit because if you ship, say, this shoe, for example, to somebody that is in the neighboring state next to you or the same state as you, it's going to be a pretty big difference in price. Maybe not so much, but you'll pay more if you're shipping it across the country or halfway across the country rather than closer to you. So if we throw in $5 in here, we'll be able to see that it did adjust our profit and it did update here. These are also crossed out because you won't have a storage fee, which we're going to talk about, where Amazon's charging you to hold items for long periods of time. Prep fee, you don't have because that is typically for a prep center if you have that in there. A lot of prep centers don't do merchant fulfilled. So if you do have one, it will populate in here. Inbound shipping, you won't need because you're not shipping things into the warehouses. And inbound placement is when Amazon is transferring items around from warehouse to warehouse. So because you're doing all that stuff yourself, all of that goes away. When you're doing stuff FBA, they uncross out and you get that fulfillment fee back in there. For the inbound shipping, it does say 60 cents per pound here because it's going off of the weight of the product that's registered into Amazon. And the way that you set that up and the way that you figure it out is when you come into SellerAmp settings here, this little icon down here, and you scroll to the first box, you're going to see inbound FBA shipping right here. This is where you're going to put in your estimate so it can calculate into SellerAmp. So that way you kind of already have that cost in there, don't have to worry about that. A good average for newer sellers is 70 cents per pound. If you want to figure out what your actual average cost is, once you have a couple of shipments go in, you can take the number of pounds that you had total in the shipment. When you do a shipment in Amazon and you go into your Seller Central account, you'll be able to see all of your boxes in there and the total weight. Or when you do your shipments through whatever software you use, I use Inventory Lab. If you do it through there, you'll be able to add up the total weights as you do the shipment, see what the total charge is going to be, and then just divide the charge by the amount of pounds that you had in total. You can get an average. Don't do it off of just one because you might have a small shipment and then the next one might be big. You want to get an average of your cost to accurately predict what it's going to be. The next type of fee, like I mentioned while we were looking at SellerAmp, monthly inventory storage fees. So Amazon is going to charge you a certain amount depending on how much space you take up in the warehouse. It is going to be different versus off-peak periods and then peak periods, which you can see here. Off-peak is January to September, and then peak is October to December. October to December is the busiest time of the year. A lot more sales come through, a lot more inventory gets shipped into the warehouses, so there's less space. They want to have your inventory move quicker, and if it doesn't, then you're going to get charged here. You can see right here what the fees are depending on how long you have it. The base is always the same, but as you get higher up in these amount of weeks, the surcharge and the total monthly storage fee does change because these two add together to equal this here. So it's really just the surcharge that increases to make your fees bigger. This is for standard size, this is for oversized, and then we can see here in peak season, below 22 weeks, it's $2.40 instead of 78 cents. And the base is $2.40 for everything, And then the storage utilization charge is the same for peak versus off peak. It's just this base fee that's going to increase. So if you have a lot of inventory sitting for long periods of time, you may want to liquidate some things, sell maybe below your minimum if you have to get things out. So that way you cannot lose money in extra fees like this. The next one is going to kind of go hand in hand with that, and it's aged inventory surcharges. So if your inventory is in a warehouse for over 181 days, so 6 months or more, you're going to get charged again by date. And it's going to be monthly that you're going to get charged, and it's going to be 50 cents per cubic foot for items 181 to 210 days. Above that's going to be $1. Above that's going to be 150, and it keeps going up and up and up until over a year. And before February 15th, this is the price. And for some reason, they have February 15th. Oh, it's by year. Okay, my mistake. I didn't read all that. So this is going to be your fees here. So it is higher. It did go up. 365 days did not go up, but the rest of it did increase here, most of it. And so you'll be able to identify it, because when you go through your inventory in Seller Central, you'll be able to see the dashboard and kind of filter by what products are in there the longest. And that way you know what to take out. Your repricer will also be able to tell you how long stuff has been in there, so you can adjust that depending on what is sitting there for longer than it should be, and vice versa. The next one is going to be if you have Amazon label your products, which I personally wouldn't recommend, but you can have them label your items, just ship them packages of non-prepped products and they will label it for you. It is 55 cents per unit, which it should say right here. You'll be charged 55 cents per item. Now, I wouldn't recommend this for a couple reasons, because your prep center can do it or you can do it, and it is going to slow down the check-in times. So if you send in products fully prepped, all they have to do is scan the items, and that already takes long enough as it should. And if you're not labeling your products, they're going to have to add that extra step in. You have no control over how long that takes. Whereas you could have your prep center do all that stuff. Most places have a 24 to 72 hour window turnaround time. Or if you're doing it, it would probably be the same or less than that if you were really on top of everything and wanted to get stuff out quick enough. Then this just really isn't worth it to me. But it is an optional fee that you can take, and it's really up to your preference. If you want stuff to take longer to check in during the regular time of year and even longer in peak season, because it already slows down during peak season for the warehouses during November, December, because of how much demand is coming through and how much extra products are coming through. So just wanted to throw it in there just in case, but wouldn't recommend it. For this one, we're going to talk about disposal fees, which you can choose to do. I wouldn't recommend this either, but you can have Amazon dispose of your inventory. I would recommend always bringing the product back to you, having them send it back to you in a removal order. But if you choose not to do that, you are going to get charged, depending on the weight of the item and the size, disposal fees for them to throw it away. The reasons why I wouldn't recommend to do that is because not all of it, but sometimes Amazon will mark stuff as not resellable and put it into a removal order. You'll receive the product back and it is in perfect condition. Why they do that can't be explained, but I would say about half the time that I get removal orders back, the items are still good and in brand new condition. So if that's the case, you can still send the item back in. You would want to sell it instead of taking a loss on something. And even if it is used, you can sell stuff on eBay. You can bring it to local consignment shops if you have some of those around you, those kind of things. That would at least get you, hopefully, your buy cost back, if not make something on it. Even if you don't, you're definitely going to get more than $1 or maximum $10 for a bulky item that's 10 pounds, or 14 for something that's over 10 pounds. Like, you're going to get more out of it taking the items back. You wouldn't want to just have them throw it away. It just doesn't really make sense to me. I never understood why people would do this, but I personally have never done it. If you guys have any questions about anything I went over in this video, or there's any other topics you want to see videos on, leave a comment down below. There's also a link in the description for anybody who wants my help either starting or growing their Amazon business. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.